Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. And yes, that's right, I look crazy. I look all several levels of crazy, but it's because I decided to do my eyebrows off the camera. I think I'm gonna be doing that because it really serves my purpose, because you people know that I can't do the brows on camera. Like anytime I attempt to do the brows on camera, it's always a failure. So I'll be doing like the large bulk of what I need to be doing for my brows off of camera, and then I'll be coming on to this place to be like, hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Welcome back to my channel. Anyway, so I'm so excited to be here, and I am here to finally announce that I actually, like, apart from my setup, I think I finally have everything together. I think I finally have it all together, child. I've decided that I'm gonna be doing every single Monday. I'm gonna be sitting here to do, wait for it, looks and crooks. I'm just the girl with the acronyms. Looks and crooks. Now, what is looks and crooks, you might ask? Looks and crooks is a segment on my channel that is going to just basically replace crime and wine, because I don't want to be labeled an alcoholic on Beyonce's internet, child. So it's basically gonna replace crime and wine, and I'm just gonna be sitting here every single Monday and doing crime, telling you about the latest in the criminal world, and telling you, you know, who is the crook, and I'll just be giving you amazing bomb-ass looks, because I am that girl. I will deliver every single time, period. Now, let's jump right into this video. So, today's video, we are going to be doing a homage to Valentine's Day. By the way, what did you guys do for Valentine's Day? Comment down below now. Comment down below. Pepper us small. Make us feel like, you know, you bitches ain't shit. You ain't ever been shit. You ain't gonna be shit. For today's case, we're going to be taking it to the UK, and why we're going to be taking it to the UK is because the murder actually is from people in the UK, but it took place in South Africa. So today's case, we are going to be jumping in our machine, catching first flight tickets to go to the land of South Africa. South Africa, how y'all doing over there? How y'all doing on that side? Y'all doing good? I'm happy y'all doing great. So, and the reason we are in South Africa is because Miss Anni Dewani was murdered during her honeymoon in South Africa from the UK after her marriage to her amazing boyfriend Shrien. Now let's jump right into this video. Now, who is her man, Shrien? So Shrien was actually born in Bristol. However, his parents were migrants from Eastern Africa. His mom was from Uganda and his dad was from Kenya. Shout out to Kenya. And they migrated to the UK and they lived in Bristol, and Shrien was actually born in 1979. So Shrien's parents, when they migrated, they started an old care home business because they saw, you know, there was shortage in the market, and, you know, people in the West do utilize old care homes more than people in Africa do. So they started the business, and the business actually rapidly grew. It did really great, and that like ushered the family into newfound wealth. And to find wealth in those UK countries is not as easy as they might have you believe. So when you do have the wealth, it's really a sign that you guys really did the doing things. Quick question: why can I not identify demand in my immediate surroundings? Like, I don't know what's in demand, but hey, maybe that's just me. I don't know, child. Maybe I'm the problem. I might be the problem. So as they were rich, Shrien went to a lot of private schools in the UK, and that's not easy. Like, if you know one thing about the UK and all these Western countries, going to private school is not cheap. Actually, anywhere going to private school is not cheap. So Shrien was pretty, like, he got that bag. And after that, when he finished his high school, etc., he went to the University of Manchester. I had applied to go to the University of Manchester, but, like, the money. Did I have the money? No, I didn't. So upon finishing university at University of Manchester, Shrien actually moved back to Bristol to go and help with the family business. But he had spent some time working with the company Deloitte. You know, the big company Deloitte? Yeah. I don't know how people are graduating and getting all these jobs. I'm manifesting, mashallah, because even me, I need that kind of energy in my life, because what even? So upon finishing the university, so when he goes back to help his family, Shrien, like, works 10 times harder than everybody else in his family. And it's notable that he was working 10 times harder than everyone else in his family, because his family was already working pretty hard. That's how this business had become a millionaire business. And by the time Shrien got involved, the family could now afford private jets. They were flying private jets. Private jets. Did I stutter? No, I didn't stutter. So Shrien really ushered the family company into a new era and a new age. And obviously, as he's getting older, Shrien's parents, especially now because they're African and culture etc, they're already starting to look at him like, so when are you gonna get married? But Shrien really wasn't looking to get a wife. He wasn't looking to get a girlie. Shrien was driving Maybachs and Porsches. He wasn't trying to get wedded. He wasn't trying to get a wife. But his family kept on pushing, and it became apparent to Shrien. And it became apparent to Shrien that if he doesn't get it together and get himself a wife, they're gonna do that for him. Yeah. 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 That's how African families are. Gonna find a wife for him and they weren't gonna play like that's just how it is in Africa. If you want to be doing nonsense, people are telling you to go get married, you're doing sengemenge, they'll be like, okay. But don't cry when we finally get you a wife. Don't do it. Just don't do it. Don't ever do it. Anyway, so Shrien starts actively looking for a wife, and he's really spending a lot of time in the nightlife scene in London because, you know what? That's really the place he thought, I mean, that's, if there's somewhere I'm gonna get a babe, it's there. Or where else would it be? So Shrien starts spending a lot of his time in the nightlife in London, and I've heard a lot about the nightlife in London. I've heard it's wild, but then again I ask myself, how wild could it be if it's always cold? You guys in London are always screaming that it's cold, it's cold, it's cold. So how are you guys enjoying this kind of nightlife if it's so freezing cold? Anyway, that's a side note. But Shrien starts spending a lot of time in pubs, etc. And that's where he meets his lovely and beautiful Miss Anni Dewani. Now, Annie was 27 when she met Shrien. She was actually born in 1992. And her parents actually were also migrants from Eastern Africa. But the thing is, they weren't rich like Shrien's family was rich. They were like well-to-do, and she did go to university in London and everything, but I don't think she went to private schools and lived, you know, private jet lifestyles like Shrien. Shrien was times 10 richer than her, and obviously when you're finding somebody and you're dating, and then there's also money involved in the dating, love is sweet. Love is sweeter. When money enter, love is sweeter. Pepe Resco. So Annie's family was not as rich as Shrien's family, and by the time Annie was in her mid-20s, she was like really looking for a husband, and she wasn't living in like the richest areas etc. So according to what people said, she wasn't attracting the kind of mates, like the suitors she wanted to attract. So she headed out and put herself on the London scene. She wasn't like gold digging or anything, but she just wasn't looking to date any dusties. Y'all can hate her if you want to hate her, but that's just Miss Anni Dewani. She hits the London scenes, and that's where she meets Shrien. And apparently Annie and Shrien really hit it off. Like, they hit it off immediately because, as I said, are you looking for a sister? Cause love is sweet with money. They hit it off immediately. Apparently they really did get along like as individuals, but it obviously really helped matters that Shrien was a millionaire. He was the guy. He was finding the monies. He and her would go on lavish, expensive dates. Apparently, as soon as they met, the next day they booked a date to go on a date. Yeah, that's what money is. Money is not having to check your bank account to find out if you can take that girl to an expensive place. They went on expensive dates to expensive restaurants, and he took her on the private jet. Like, everything was moving pretty quickly, and in 6 months, the two actually met each other's parents. So Shrien told Annie to bring her parents over to his house, and when Annie's parents entered Shrien's house, they said, wait a second, Maybachs were parked in the front, Porsches, Range Rovers, what? I don't even know which kind, like, I don't even know which kind of cars rich people drive. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, do you know what I'm saying? Do you understand what I'm trying to say to you? I really don't know, but they really were having the cars. Not only the cars, also these people's house was very much so huge. And like I said, Annie's people were not poor. Like, they weren't poor, but they just, you know, there's levels to this money thing. You know, there's levels to this shit. And Annie's parents were clear. When they entered, they said, we are not on this level. We're not there for this level. This is the serious level these people be. But as soon as the families met, they really liked each other. And this was all, they really liked each other because Shrien's parents were like very humble, because like they understood that, you know, this wealth thing is really by chance. Like, it's not people's option to be poor etc. We don't have the same 24 hours as Beyonce, because the things Beyonce is focusing on are not the same things I'm focusing on. Like, they were very reasonable people. They weren't like Molly May. So When the parents met, you know, obviously when your parents, everybody loves each other, you're just like, yeah, this person is for me. The parents love each other, everything is going great. And during this time when the parents were talking etc, Shrien decides he wants to take Annie. He wants to take Annie on a romantic getaway. Like, guys, get you somebody with money. Like, it can't be that Valentine's is the one time in the year that you'll be treated well, because what is that even? Like, that man really said, we're getting up, we are going, we are living on my pocket. Periodical. So Shrien decides that he wants to take Annie and he wants to fly her to the islands. No, he actually took her to Paris. They went to Paris for just like a quick little getaway, and during their time in Paris, something amazing happened. So all this time, they've met the parents, everything's going well, but Shrien still wasn't really sure about marriage. Annie was damn stark sure. Like, by that point, she was basically waiting. She was about to propose to him. Child. She was gonna do it. She was gonna do it. According to what her friend said, like, she was really into him. She really liked him. She was just waiting on him to propose. And finally, when they were in Paris, they were sitting in a lovely little fancy restaurant, and a silver platter was brought in, and on the platter was like a single rose. And then the guy opens, like she picks up, I mean the girl picks up the rose, and right there was a diamond ring. A 250,000 pound diamond ring, bitch. You and your broke man could never. Me and my man could not at this point. But not never, just at this point we are not able to can. 250,000, bro, that's more than people's school fees. Like, do you know that you could be prosecuted for that? Why? Somebody should investigate that source of wealth, because what even is that? Like, no, truly, really and truly, why do people like to come on this internet and make us feel like shit? But anyway, I digress. So by this time, Annie jumps up, she screams, people in the restaurant are clapping for them. Oh my god, new marriage couple, new marriage couple. And the two of them are actually quite happy with each other. Like, let's not cap. The rest of the trip in Paris was amazing. They called their friends, their families. They told everybody, get ready, pack your bags, we're having a wedding. The reason they said pack their bags is because Annie and Shrien decided to actually have their wedding in Mumbai, India, which is surprising to me because I didn't really receive any informations, considering the fact that they are from Mumbai, because they're really Africans that lived in Africa. So the whole them deciding to go to India was a bit taken aback for me. To me. So they decided to have their wedding in Mumbai, and they told all their people, you know, paid for everything. However, during the time that the wedding was being planned, Annie and Shrien did go to Mumbai. They stayed for like 3 months. Yeah, people get money, forget. They stayed like 3 months. So they stayed about 3 months in Mumbai in a hotel. They stayed in a 5-star hotel. You guys, like, this entire story is actually bizarre. How do you stay all that time in a 5-star hotel? And it's not cheap, and they're paying per night. So that just goes to show how much money Shrien actually had, like how much money as an individual, because by that time both of them are not working. Sister has stopped working, because why would you need to work when your man is a billionaire? No, truly, why would you need to be working? Would you work? Would you want to go and kill yourself? No, because I wouldn't. You, if you do want to do that, that's to each their own, but I'm not stupid, so I'm not dumb. Back to the story. During the time that they're planning the wedding, things did start to seem a bit weird, because to Annie, she was like very westernized as opposed to him. He was very still much so a culturally traditional Indian man, and she wasn't really used to that, and she was trying to understand him etc, but she couldn't really understand him, because it's just like, okay, but what's my problem? Like, he wouldn't hold her hand, he wouldn't kiss her, he wouldn't hug her, like he wouldn't even be intimate with her. He said like, no, he can't do that, because, you know, that's gonna be dishonoring her etc. And Auntie wanted to be dishonored, child. She wanted to be dishonored, child, if you know what I mean, if you know what I'm saying. And he just didn't see the point in all of that. He wanted for them to wait, for them to keep their chastity and their purity, and he didn't want to violate her. But I have a story for this, because when I was working at I'll put the story time up here. But when I was working for the place, that the horror story where I worked for, the lady, her husband was Indian, and she told us this story about how her man basically didn't like allow her to touch him. Like she wouldn't touch him. They would sleep in different rooms. And one time she snuck into his room, because the rooms are adjoint, and she snuck into his room to like just to like get into his bed, and what she did was touch his feet, bro. And this man went ballistic. Like she told me this man was livid with anger. He was like, no, how dare you disrespect me and disrespect yourself. I said, uncle. He said, we have to wait until we're properly wed. We have to wait until everything is fine. Me and you cannot touch each other. We are doing dirty things. He called it dirty things. So I never really understood. It was only until like it became very apparent the man was very cultural, very traditional. Like he wasn't like the typical westernized man. He was very cultural. Like even when people would pass the restaurant, because obviously we live on an island, so it's like it's obviously gonna be people passing in front of the restaurant that are in bikinis, etc. He would look away and just like shake his head, and it was all very judgy and all very like reserved and conservative. But like, I guess culture, I mean, I guess I don't know what to say, but I guess. Anyway, back to the story. So Annie by this time is now calling back home, and she's saying like, yeah, I love him, but he's doing all these things. And with time, these complaints stopped just being like, he doesn't want to touch me. With time, it now became, he hates me, I hate him. And then with time, it evolved to, I don't want to marry him. And then with time, that evolved to, I want to cancel the wedding. Now, if you guys know one thing about weddings that have been planned for months and months and months and months on end, you know that canceling those kind of weddings, it's just not going to happen. Especially when the families are involved. Like, when your families are the ones paying for your weddings, and everybody and their mama and their relatives have been invited to your wedding because parents like to brag, you're not gonna cancel the wedding. There's just never gonna come a time where you think it's okay to cancel this wedding. They'll tell you, you know, you do you, boo, you go through whatever you need to go through. But if you think for a split stock second that you're canceling this wedding, you are clearly deranged. So that's clearly what happened to Annie. Annie is calling her sisters, calling her mom, calling her parents, calling everybody, telling them, hey, I hate this man, I don't want to marry this man. And everybody's telling her like, honey, you have to go through the wedding because we've called everybody, we've arranged this wedding. Do you know how much money we've thrown into this wedding? Everybody's booked their flights to Mumbai. So all the time you're saying is hearsay. Okay, sweetie? Okay, Miss Girl. And she had no choice. Like, okay, she obviously had a choice. Sorry, I'm gonna use this really quickly. She obviously had a choice, but like, is it truly a choice? I don't know if it's truly a choice if your entire family is basically gonna hate you if you cancel that wedding. So Annie just decided, you know what, she's gonna talk to Shrien about it and talk to him about her worries and tell him, you know, maybe he'll give a damn. Shrien said, I don't give a damn. And he told Annie, we're gonna get married. He told her she must be crazy because the facts are that him and his family have spent a lot of money on this wedding. He spent too much money. Everybody has been told about the wedding, and there's no way he can cancel this wedding. I'm not sure exactly the date that the wedding took place, but I do know it was like they met that same year, got married that same year. Guys' wedding was over the top. These guys had 300 guests, flew in, bitch. Imagine being a guest at a wedding and you're flew in. Please, if you guys are having those kind of weddings, invite me, please, because I'm tired of suffering in this life. They were flew in. They flew in not only the guests, but they also got elephants brought to the place that they were gonna have the wedding. The wedding was held at a very beautiful location. It was overlooking a lake in Mumbai, like one of the main lakes in Mumbai. I didn't really get the name, but it was a very beautiful occasion. Their altar was shaped like the Taj Mahal. You know, the Taj Mahal? Yeah, the goddamn Taj Mahal. And Shrien came in on an elephant. I said, what? There were elephants. Did I say also there were elephants roaming around the wedding? They were just doing their thing. After the wedding was finished, they had a very lavish ceremony with their family. You know, they lived, they laughed, you know, after the reception, obviously. Like, I guess when you guys get married, you obviously have to go and see your family for some time. You guys have to chill, kiki, haha, at the reception, and then everybody saw them off for their honeymoon. Now, this is really where the Crixa de Croxa starts. this is where the crux of the cruxus starts. Because when they went for their honeymoon was actually set to be in South Africa, and the both of them chose this location because one, they wanted to go back to their roots, and two, they just liked South Africa. They just liked the sound of it, so they went to the location. And guys, it was a real madness over in SA. Upon arriving in South Africa, Shrien realizes, oh my gosh, I forgot to book a cab to come and pick me and my beautiful new bride. He quickly calls up a cab, like he hailed a cab outside of the airport. The taxi guy's name is Zola. Remember that, Zola. He calls the taxi guy, and the taxi guy comes. He's like, hi, yeah, we're going to the Cape Grace Hotel. And this was a 5-star luxury hotel. Like, this is one of the best hotels in South Africa. Apparently it's the best hotel in Cape Town, according to what I saw when I was researching. So Shrien gets Zola to drive them to the hotel, and when they get to the hotel, obviously Annie is very tired. She's like, hey babe, I'm gonna go and, you know, take a little bit of a nap. And he's like, okay baby, you go do that, you go do you, I'm gonna stay out here. So Zola and Shrien stood there for 15 good minutes to just speak. And Shrien actually apparently during this time asked Zola to be his caterer, like the guy who's gonna drive him around South Africa, etc., because he said he wanted to see the real South Africa, and he wanted to like experience local culture and see what's really happening in SA, what's hip, what's going on. And he said he felt like he wouldn't have gotten that same experience had he used, you know, the hotel room. This time Zola and Shrien are outside talking. Annie is upstairs. She went to take a shower, she freshened up, etc., and the day was over basically. Shrien eventually came upstairs. Annie and Shrien spent the day inside, and they actually spent the next day inside as well because they were pretty tired. And when they now, guys, this is now when it now starts to get funny. The next day, Shrien and Annie wake up and they decide to stay indoors the entire day because they were still a bit tired from their trip. When they decided to go for dinner, it's unclear why Shrien and Annie decided to go for dinner outside the hotel room, but they did. They decided to go and catch dinner at a very fancy restaurant, and during this time, Shrien now then tells his baby girl that, hey, I have to go back to the hotel room. I left one of my phones, and he leaves his bride at the hotel and goes home to go collect his phone. So red flags, red flags, red flags, red flags. He gets to the hotel room, he gets his phone, and he checks it, because all of this is on CCTV camera. Checks his phone, almost like he was expecting there to be a message or something, and then he puts his phone back and goes back to the hotel. When Shrien goes back to the restaurant, he now asks his baby girl, are we done? Are we finished? Can we go now? And baby girl is like, yeah, okay, I'm done, we're finished, we can go now. So during this entire time, Shrien then now calls Zola to come pick him up. He's like, hey, ring, 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 hey, what's up? Ring, 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 hey, what's up? Yeah, can you come pick me and my babes up? Zola says, okay, he's on his way, and he for sure was on his way. He was there within a few minutes, and they now set off to go back home. However, during the time that they're now going back home, Shrien and Annie start to tell Zola that they find South Africa very beautiful, but they feel like they haven't seen the real South Africa. They feel like they haven't seen, you know, what the locals go through, what is the local living like, how are people really in South Africa, you know, minus when you strip away all the superficial elements of, you know, money and knowing that someone is a tourist. They wanted to see South Africa for what it is. And this is when Zola now decides that it was a good idea to take these two foreign non-black people into the ghettos of Gugalatu. Now, Gugalatu is a ghetto in Cape Town. You know, one thing about Gugalatu, crime is very high. Gugalatu estimates about 400 to 500 murders every single year, and it's a very small township. It's like a small ghetto township in South Africa, which is crazy to me that this is where this guy decides to take these two foreigners. This guy said, yeah, I think that's a great idea. And he took these two foreigners into the ghettoest township in Cape Town during that time. And even today, it's still one of the very ghetto places in South Africa. And even the people of Gugalatu actually don't leave their houses at night, and they tend to not come back home at late hours of the night. Nobody's really in the streets at late hours of the night because of the high crime rates, the sexual assault rates, the rape rates. Like it's a bit of a madness out in Gugula too. So people there don't even go out like that. So the fact that Zola decided that this is the real place to show these people the real South Africa, also adding that it was in the middle of the night that he decided to show these people the real South Africa, it was a bit of a madness. I'm not gonna lie, it was a bit of a madness. So Zola decides to take them, and when they get into Gugula too, the two of them are obviously ogling, like, you know, the way tourists usually ogle. They're like, oh my gosh, this is so beautiful. We're getting premium access. As they're driving, they get to a stop, right? And at the stop, two people jump into the car, get Zola out of the driver's seat, push Zola out of the car altogether, and then now it's just Shrien and Anni in the back. And this was a very, very fast turn of events, so everything was happening really, really quickly. So probably like poor Miss Anni Dewani and Shrien obviously are in the back wondering what the fuck, or so it seemed. So when these people push into the car, they now turn to Anni and Shrien and they tell Anni and Shrien, right, they turn to Anni and Shrien, they tell Shrien, right, give me your watch, give me your ring, give me everything. They rob Shrien. They tell Anni and Shrien that, you know what we're gonna do is we're gonna chuck both of you out of this car because it's really the car we want. This is a robbery, all eyes on me. They said this is a gratatata for the girl them. Anni and Shrien now are begging for their lives. They say, okay, fine, if you want to rob us, but please don't kill us. And Anni and Shrien finally, they are told, okay, fine, we won't kill you. Our intent is really not to kill you. We're gonna throw you out of the car, and when you're out of the car, we will leave you. Like us, we just want this. We want the thing altogether. We don't want you. We want the car. And the robber said, shut up. We said what we are doing. You should be happy. We are not killing you. So just go with the plan and shut the fuck up. Anni and Shrien are like, fine, we're gonna shut the fuck up. So Shrien tells Anni, I'll find you. And that was about the time that these people stopped the car, threw out Shrien, and it's now Anni and the guys in the car that are left. So Anni drives off. Shrien finally, he runs around in the ghetto. Guys, I don't know actually, like ghettos are different. Maybe because it's a South African ghetto. Because in my ghetto, they would have offed him. They would have definitely offed him. He saw their faces, they would have offed him. He's left in the streets of the ghetto. He's running door to door, trying to get people to please come and open for him the door so that he can call the police, etc. During this time, he also found Zola. So now him and Zola are running door to door, trying to find somebody to help. Eventually, they did find somebody to help and they called the police. The police came and they're now in the middle of the night out looking for his fiancée, Shrien's fiancée. They're looking for her, didn't find her. During this time, Shrien then now decides to call his daddy. And his daddy says, don't worry, I'm gonna hop in the bando. I'm gonna hop in the private jet. And I'm gonna be there in a few hours. So Shrien is like, okay, fine, then I'll wait for you, daddy. And Shrien's dad hops in the bando, hops in the place. And he also makes sure to call Anni Dewani's parents and tell them, hey, you know what? Something crazy is happening during this their honeymoon. We need to get South Africa right now. So they're like, okay. And this is the part that never made any sense to me. Like, how are you gonna hop in your private jet but then leave the parents of the person who's actually in problems? You leave them at you leave them in UK. Like, it doesn't make sense to take commercial flights and take connect flights and take all this. Anyway, so as they're looking for Anni, they didn't find Anni that night. It was so sad. Everybody went home pretty sad, pretty depressed. And it was the next day that the police actually received a phone call. And the phone call was from somebody reporting an abandoned car. It was an abandoned minivan, which marked the exact description of Zola, the taxi driver's car. And when they get to the car is empty. However, upon now looking at it closely, they found Anni Dewani's body, and she was actually dead by the time they found her. She had been shot, and the gunshot was a fatal gunshot, and she hadn't survived. However, everything was still on her body. Her ring was still on her body, and by this time, before they found her, the reason even Shrien's daddy was coming is because they all assumed this is just a kidnapping case, because apparently it's common in South Africa for people to be kidnapped. I don't know, child. But they found Anni, ring on, everything still on. Thank God she wasn't sexually assaulted. Nothing had happened to her. She was just shot and she died immediately. It's time to now get into the cruxes. They look at the car, they say, okay, this is obviously, it's not a kidnapping case anymore. This is a homicide. This is a murder. So they get the fingerprints from the car, and they actually found that the fingerprints belongs to a man called Mngeni. Now, Mgeni was a resident in the Gugalatu slum, and they went to Mgeni's house, and by the time they went to Mgeni's house, Mgeni was in his house, like, passed out. It was him, a few girls, and a guy, and they were passed out from a good old time the night before. They had a good old time the night before, and everything was just them. They were having the time of their lives. They were asleep. They didn't understand why the police was coming to knock on their door. Oh, but they did, child. Because maybe the men and the women didn't understand, but Mgeni did understand, because as soon as the coppers caught him, he was singing like a bird. So when Mgeni was caught, he actually gives another name of a man who he gives the name of the man who actually contacted him for the job, because now he's calling it a job, and the police are like, a job? Child, I thought this is a robbery gone wrong. So police are now beginning to realize, oh, wait a second, in the ways, it's a conspiracy. He gives them the name of a man named Kwabe. Now, police go to Kwabe's house, and Kwabe was also in his house. Like, guys, come on. You're disappointing me. Obviously, I like that they're catching you, but you're also disappointing me. Like, at best, you could have hid. Like, how do you guys do this entire hit situation? You're trying to do Men in Black, but you don't have the sense to hide after the hit. Like, it's even disrespectful to the murder victim. Jesus. That you guys just did, like, you just feel like what you did wasn't even that bad. Like, you took somebody's goddamn life and you're still in your house just eating. So they go, they pick up Kwabe, and Kwabe also sings like a bird. None of the guys here are keeping anything a secret, which makes me happy. Which really makes me happy, because it's like, wow, we love to see it. Kwabe starts to sing like a bird, and Kwabe's song is giving auto-tune at best, because it's like, this must be a joke, this can't be real. It's giving auto-tune at best, because this cannot be real. Kwabe now tells them that, actually, I'm not the one who did this thing. Somebody else called me for this job. He calls this guy Omblambo. I'm not sure what his name is said. Please don't butcher me in the comment section. He calls Omblambo, and he says, yeah, this guy Omblambo called me, and he told me that he wants me to go and rob and kill somebody. And he told me he wanted me to go and hijack and kill somebody, and so I did what I had to do. A black hen gotta eat. That's a black hen right there. I'm sorry, I'm joking. So he calls Omblambo, and they go and pick up Omblambo, and Omblambo is also still in his house. Omblambo still didn't run. Omblambo is also there waiting. Now, it now becomes apparent to police that, you know what? This is bigger than we expected. They go, they pick up Omblambo. Omblambo also sings like a bird. He sings like a canary. And Omblambo has a very different kind of tale to tell. Omblambo says that, I didn't come up with this on my own, because they were trying to make it seem like this was some random hit. Omblambo said this was not some random hit. I was called by Zola. You remember the taxi driver that Shrien has been talking to? He said, I was told by Zola to go and carry out this thing, that he's been requested by somebody to kill this girl. And he said that he wanted to recruit me, and he asked me if I can get more people to carry this out, or will I do it myself. I said I can do myself, but I will get people to carry this out, because I don't want to get involved like that personally. He told me to organize, I organized. So now Omblambo is calling Zola. Zola is now called. And Zola has the most auto-tuned voice of all, because what he was saying had to be fake. Really, it had to be fake at best. At best, it had to be fake. Zola is called, and Zola starts to tell the police about how Shrien, Anni Dewani's husband, who by this time, when Anni has died, he's also acting very suspect. His family members, Anni's family members especially, are saying they're seeing terrible inconsistencies in his story. Literally Anni died, and the day before, not after, the day before her burial, he threw a pizza party. He was acting very weird. He even seemed happier, according to many sources and reports. He seemed happier. He seemed like he was having the time of his goddamn life now that Anni wasn't there. And it was giving weird at best and disrespectful to Anni's family members, because they were even trying to get to see Anni's body. And Shrien was saying, no, you can't see the body. No reason at all. He just didn't want people to be seeing Anni's body like that. By this time, as I said, Shrien is acting very weird back in the UK, because at this point he was back in the UK acting all this weirdness. And as Zola is singing, it now becomes evident this is a very, 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 very giving Antichrist plan. It was giving Antichrist at best. And this is when the police uncovered the real crux of the cruxes of what was going on here. So by this point, Zola now requests, because he tells the statement to the police, but he hadn't told everybody, to the general public. And by this time now, after he told the police, and Zola says he would like to have a press conference. Comes out, he's coming out in handcuffs now. Moment of silence, because the entire press is like, oh my god, because by this time this story has blown up. Two foreigners killed in whatever, and the media was really sensationalizing it because they stayed at a very expensive hotel. They were very like wealthy, so it's like, oh my god, they were young, they were beautiful, and it's like, geez, how could this have just happened right in Cape Town? Like, are we really safe? They were really pulling the, are we safe? Are we really, you know, those the way the media likes to do. Anyway, so by this time now, Zola now requests to, Zola requests to have the press hearing, and he's out on the press hearing, and that's when he really delivered the bombshell of the bombshells. Zola said, check, mic check, 1 2 3. Is this thing on? Because I'm about to bring it all down. Zola now confesses and says everything, and he now gives us a very funny little tale. He tells us that actually he didn't just decide to assassinate this beautiful UK girlie. No, he said that Shrien, her husband, ordered the hit on her. Y'all be safe out there. I can't make this up. And I'm not laughing because I find it funny. I'm just laughing because what was the reason? Like, if you hated the auntie, do you know that you can have divorced her? Did you know that? Did you also know that you didn't, keep in mind, he's the one who forced her to marry, basically, because she didn't want to marry. And he also, like, and she came to him and said, hey, I feel like I'm not ready to marry. And he said, we have to marry because our families have invested money. So fuck you and your feelings, bitch. I'm tired, please, I'm tired, man. What's the problem? So now Zola releases this bombshell, and it obviously reaches Shrien and his family back home. And by this time now, press really rushed to where Shrien is. They're really chasing after him, etc, etc. And he eventually now decided to go back to his home in Bristol, and he was staying there at the family home while all of the investigations were still going back in South Africa, like going on back in South Africa. Now they've really done the digging the crixus, and they found out that Zola and Shrien had an unusual amount of contact for just a driver-passenger relationship. Zola and Shrien had thousands and thousands of messages just during the time that Shrien was in South Africa, which was like within a day. By the time he picked them up at the airport and dropped them off the next day at the restaurant, they had thousands of calls and texts just lined up, one after the other, which is suspect because, I don't know about you guys, but me, when I call a guy to come pick me up with the taxi, it's, hi, I'm at such location, can you come and pick me up? Yeah, how much would that be? I think even I ask how much it would be, like, when I'm in the car. Like, I don't really ask that on the phone. So now it's becoming more and more apparent to people that, oh my gosh, why is this guy talking like this? This guy must be the killer. Allegedly. Now, at this point, Shrien is in the UK, and people are calling for him to be brought to South Africa to face justice. They're saying, bring that man back, we want him here, etc. And Shrien now, he's really scared in his house, which is understandable. He's really scared back home. And what happened is he actually suffered a mental breakdown because of all of this. Now, naturally, if you have to stand trial, you have to be vetted if you're like mentally able, or you have the mental capacity to stand trial. If they find that you're depressed, or you have something like you have a mental health issue at the moment, then you're not fit to stand trial, and so you can't stand trial. Ergo, he couldn't be deported to go and stand trial in South Africa. And now the prosecution is really looking for a way to get him there. And after they realized, okay, we can't get him here. Zola has made this implosive thing. He's said all this, but we can't get him here. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna build our case as we wait for him to be able to be extradited back to South Africa. So the prosecution really had time to do their digging. They had a lot of time. I think a year or so they had time. Correct me if I'm wrong. A year or so they had a lot of time. Now, during this time that they are doing this research, the prosecution goes through his search history. They go through his laptops, his phones, his everything. However, they still didn't have access to the exact call, because you can find a call log and text logs, but you're not really able to like see the texts or what happened on the calls, etc. So they were only relying on the fact that there were calls and were texts, and there were an unusual amount. And the hours leading up to the death of Annie, there were more calls and more texts, etc. So now by this time the prosecution has really built their case, and they're looking into this guy's phone records, emails, etc, etc, etc. And now it now becomes apparent that this man has not only been suspicious in this aspect, but that this man also had no business marrying Annie. And do you know why, class? Because as the prosecution is investigating all this, they now discover that Shrien was gay. Shrien was gay. And there's nothing wrong with being gay. However, that is very serious motive to kill somebody. I don't think you understand the kind of motive there is when you find out somebody is gay and he's married to a woman, and it's like his family's tradition, etc, etc, doesn't accept gay people. Annie being dead if he's married is a good thing if Shrien is actually gay. So now by this time the prosecution actually found out that he actually visited a gay website called Gaydar the day after Annie died, and he had been frequently visiting this website. And the way this came to light is because he actually had a male escort by the name of Leo, who used to constantly, I don't know, it was called the German something, the German Shepherd that we watched. Oh, it was very nasty name. So he actually used to get this male escort to come over, and this male escort really went to the police and snitched Shrien and said that Shrien, when this whole wedding was approaching, etc., he had really called this man and told this man, like, I need to find a way to get out of this wedding. I need to find a way to get out of this marriage. I don't want to be married. I don't want to stay married to this lady. I don't know what to do. And he said he was gonna find a way. And many other sex workers, actually male sex workers, came forward to confirm that Shrien actually was gay. Like, he was gay in and of itself. And that's not a problem. Like, I'm not bashing Shrien. I really don't care. But this is what's going on. So the prosecution now the prosecution now decides to base their entire theory on the motive to kill, that he hated Annie because Annie was keeping him from his life. However, marrying Annie was a means to an end, because if he married Annie and she died, he could just say he was so depressed over her death, because in public he really portrayed like he loved her, she was his everything, etc. So he could have just held on to that and said he can't get married again until he's finished mourning Annie. Now the prosecution has built their case, and after a year, I think, please correct me if I'm wrong because I saw different dates, but after a year the prosecution now is able to extradite Shrien, because it became apparent that he was now mentally okay. He could be extradited. He was seen up and about in the UK, and he was now taken back to South Africa to stand trial. Now at the trial, the prosecution brings all of this evidence against him, saying he's gay, that's why he killed her, that's why he did it. And then I can understand why the prosecution based their theory on that, because in Africa being gay is just such a taboo. I bet you they were also like in a frenzy. They were in shock. This wasn't really a smart attempt, because especially because it's weak, it's circumstantial evidence. They would need physical evidence actually linking him to the crime scene, which they lacked. The fact that he was texting Zola, circumstantial evidence. The fact that he was gay and that was his motive, circumstantial evidence. The fact that he didn't die and him and Zola, the two people who are being said to have organized this entire thing, didn't die when she was murdered is crazy, because they were all in the car together, etc. Still circumstantial evidence. All the evidence the prosecution came up with was all circumstantial. All their arguments were circumstantial at best. Their entire goddamn, or I've never seen a weaker argument than this, fell through the hole when Shrien actually took the stand and admitted to being bisexual. He said, I'm bisexual. I am an openly bisexual person now. I've come out of the closet. What are you gonna do about it? I'm here, I'm queer, and I'm proud. Shrien's defense made sure that this whole gayism thing, it didn't trend, because obviously it's not something smiled upon in African communities, and they got the judge to actually say that you can't admit this kind of evidence in court. If it has anything to do with the case, fine, but nothing to do with Shrien's sexuality can be admitted in this court or will be heard by this court, which I say, like, kudos to the defense team, because that's a bad bitch move right there. That's a black king right there. Sorry, I just quickly stepped out to put on this wig. Anyway, guys, so yeah, Mr. Shrien did walk. Shrien now, he lives in the UK. He has a boyfriend now. He's like openly gay, so I don't know about him being bisexual. Because according to reports, he's really never dated a woman other than her, Miss Anni Dewani. And I mean, this story is very sad, and like many people do believe that Shrien did it. Do I believe Shrien did it? He did it. I think he did it. I'm not saying he did it, but in my mind he did it. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not saying he did do it, but in my mind he did it. You get what I'm saying? Anyway, guys, that is the end of this video. I hope you like this makeup look. This is probably the same makeup look I'll be doing every other day. I do hope you enjoyed this video, and yeah, I will see you guys in my next one. Bye. Oh, wait. Yeah, that's what I wanted to do.